There was one rule in all of paradise. Just one. No lock on it, no guard standing over it, no punishment waiting to spring the second you got close. Just a tree, standing in the middle of a garden that had no end, and a single sentence attached to it. Don't. And it took less than one conversation to undo it. Not a war, not a disaster, not even a full afternoon. Just a voice, a question, and about 90 seconds of doubt. Stick with me, because the way it actually happened is stranger and closer to home than you probably remember. To understand how small the crack was, you have to understand how whole the thing was before it broke. Picture a garden with no seasons of lack, only seasons of abundance. Rivers that never asked anything of you before they gave. Animals that had never learned to run from a human hand. And two people, freshly made, who had never once flinched at the sight of each other. No shame, no performance, no editing themselves before they spoke. They were, as far as anyone could tell, completely known and completely unafraid of being known. Everything in that garden belonged to them. Every fruit tree, every animal to name, every single hour of every single day, stretching out with nothing urgent in it. Except one tree, standing dead center, heavy with fruit, that seemed to hold a little more light than it should have. You may eat from any tree in the garden. That was the deal. But from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you must not eat. On the day you eat of it, you will surely die. One tree, one sentence. That was the entire cost of paradise. And for a while, it worked. The woman walked past that tree the way you walk past a locked door in a house you love. Not even thinking about what's behind it, because everything in front of you is already enough. Until the day something in the branches started talking. It didn't announce itself as a threat. That's important. It didn't hiss, it didn't threaten, it didn't even lie outright. Not at first. It just asked a question, and the question was built to sound reasonable.
Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?
Notice what that question does. It isn't accusing her of anything. It's not even technically false, it's just slightly bent, exaggerated by one word. God hadn't banned every tree.
Just one. But now she has to correct the record, has to say the rule out loud, has to defend it. And the moment you're defending a boundary, instead of simply living inside it, the boundary already feels a little less solid. We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, she said, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden.
And you must not touch it, or you will die. And here's where the voice in the branches does something almost elegant. It doesn't argue with her. It reframes the entire rule. You will not die. God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like Him, knowing good and evil. Read that again, because this is the actual mechanism of the entire story. It didn't tell her the rule was fake. It told her the rule was selfish.
Not God is wrong, but God is withholding. Not this won't hurt you, but this is the one thing, keeping you smaller than you could be.
And here's the part almost nobody says out loud when they tell this story. It didn't feel like a trap. It felt like an upgrade. So she looked at the tree again, really looked at it, maybe for the first time. It was good for food. It was pleasing to look at. And now, with that one sentence sitting in her mind, it was something else too. It was desirable for gaining wisdom. 3 reasons: body, eyes, mind. All lining up in the same direction, all pointing at the same fruit. She reached up. She took it. She ate. And then, this is the detail that gets skipped over almost every single time this story gets told. She didn't eat alone in secret and hide the evidence. She turned around, found her husband standing right there the entire time, and handed it to him. No argument, no hesitation from him either. He took it from her hand, and he ate. Two people, one decision, made twice, 30 seconds apart, with nobody stopping to ask a single question in between. Here's what your eyes will be opened actually turned out to mean. It didn't mean fireworks. It didn't mean a bolt of lightning across the sky. It meant something quieter and, honestly, worse. They looked at each other, and for the very first time in their lives, they looked away. Something had opened, all right. But what it opened was a kind of self-awareness they'd never needed before.
Suddenly they were aware of their own bodies, as things to be seen, judged, hidden. They grabbed leaves and started sewing coverings together, working in silence, not meeting each other's eyes.
Hands clumsy with a feeling neither of them had a word for yet, because the word for it, shame, hadn't existed a few minutes earlier.
And then they heard something that used to be the best sound in their world. Footsteps moving through the garden. It used to mean comfort. Now it made them run. They hid themselves among the trees, grown adults, first parents of the entire human race, crouched behind foliage like children who'd broken a vase, and thought if they just stayed quiet long enough, nobody would notice. Where are you? The question wasn't really about location. Everyone in that garden knew exactly where everyone was. It was an invitation. A chance to come out and say what happened.
"I heard you in the garden," the man said, from his hiding place. "And I was afraid, because I was naked. So I hid myself."
Who told you that you were naked? Because nobody had to tell them. That was the whole tragedy of it. The knowledge they'd wanted so badly had shown up right on schedule, and the first thing it taught them was how to be afraid of themselves. Then came the question that mattered most. Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat from? And here's where the story gets almost uncomfortably familiar, because instead of two people saying, yes, we did that, together, you get two people pointing in opposite directions.
"The woman you gave me," the man said. "She gave me the fruit, and I ate. Blame the woman. Blame even the one who gave her to him in the first place."
The serpent deceived me, and I ate.
Blame the voice in the branches. Nobody said, it was me. I chose it. And maybe that's the most human detail in the whole story. Not the eating of the fruit, but the scramble afterward to make sure the weight of it landed on someone else. The consequences came anyway, blame or no blame. To the one in the branches, a curse to crawl on its belly for the rest of its days.
And a long war declared between it and every generation of humanity that would follow. A war it would eventually lose.
To the woman, hard, aching labor in bringing children into the world, and a strain in the closest relationship she had. To the man, the ground that would no longer give freely, but would have to be fought for. Thorns, thistles, sweat. Every single loaf of bread from now on costing something. Before it fed you, the world didn't end. That's the thing people forget. It just got heavier. Every task that used to be effortless now had resistance built into it. The whole of existence picked up weight that day, and none of it ever really put that weight back down.
And then, right in the middle of all of that consequence, something small and strange happens. Something that's easy to miss if you're moving fast through the story.
Before sending them out, God made them clothes. Not leaves this time, actual garments made of skin, made to last. A small, quiet act of care, in the exact same breath as the sentence being carried out. Judgment and tenderness arriving together in the same moment. They looked down at themselves, then at each other. Nobody said anything. There wasn't really anything left to say. Then the garden sealed itself behind them. Not violently, not with a slammed door. Just completely, a light like a blade, turning slowly where the gate used to be, guarding a path that would never open again for them. They stood at the edge of everything they'd known, looking back at a place that was still visible and already gone.
Will it still be there?
After we're gone?
I don't know.
And that's it. That's the honest answer he had. No comfort speech, no promise that everything would be fine. Just... And then his hand, reaching for hers. For the first time since the fruit had passed between them. She let him take it.
I only wanted to know. So quiet.
It almost didn't survive the wind. I know.
And there was no blame in it at all.
Which, after everything that had just happened, might be the most surprising line in the whole story. Together, they turned around, and they walked forward, out of the light of the garden they'd been given, and into the ordinary, harder, grayer light of a world they'd have to build for themselves, one uncertain step at a time. Here's the thing this story keeps trying to tell you. 3,000 years and a few thousand retellings later. The forbidden fruit was never really about the fruit. It was about a single question, dressed up as reasonable, asking you to explain a boundary you'd never had to defend before, and how fast that's unfair can turn into, that's a rule I broke without even deciding to. Every single version of this story, every single time it repeats itself in every single life, starts the exact same way. Not with a crime, with a question that sounds almost true. That's the fall, the actual mechanics of it, not just the headline version.
Pulling apart what's actually happening underneath the version most of us grew up with.
If this is the first time you've heard the story told this way, there's a lot more where that came from. I'm going through the Bible one story at a time. So if you want the next one, subscribe. And turn on notifications so you don't miss it.
And if there's a question that got under your skin while you were listening, something that sounded almost true, drop it in the comments below. I read every one.
See you in the next story.